Hello and a very warm welcome to this special edition of Rajya Sabha Television Question Hour. We are here again to get you all the important unstarred questions asked by the members of the Rajya Sabha and the answers given by the government. So today, important questions were asked pertaining to the Ministries of Defence, Drinking Water and Sanitation, Rural Development, Youth Affairs and Sports. And joining me is my colleague, Vishal Dhaya.
Well, thank you, Kriti. And just like every other day, we will be bringing our viewers the important questions which were asked, as my colleague pointed out, from several ministries. So let's begin, Kriti, with the first question.
That's right, Vishal. So let's commence. So the first question is whether it is a fact that the army has conveyed to government that its military areas within cantonments be converted into exclusive military stations by excluding civilian areas. And this question has been asked by Prabhakar Kore.
Well, this is a very pertinent question because this is an issue which has been debated of late in public domain as well. The minister concerned from the Ministry of Defence, the MOS, Subhash Bhamre, goes on to answer that there are 62 cantonments governed by Cantonments Act 2006 located in 19 states with a population of about 20.76 lakhs. Cantonments have and continue to play an important role in delivery of services to the inhabitants residing in the cantonments, apart from carrying out municipal functions like sanitation, running of STPs, street lighting, drainage, etc. They are also undertaking numerous developmental activities. Now, cantonments with a 250-year history are important institutions that bear testimony to the harmonious coexistence of civilians and defence personnel. The Army has suggested excising of civil areas of cantonments and converting military pockets into military stations. No decision has been taken in this matter so far. So clearly, this the decision in this matter is pending as of now, Kriti. And the next one is from Shamsher Singh Manhas. And the question is to the Ministry of Defence only. He goes on to ask the steps taken by the government to deal with uncertain infiltration across the line of control and international border in Jammu and Kashmir border.
So, MOS Defence Subhash Bhamre has given the answer, and he goes on to say that Indian Army and Border Security Force have adopted a robust counter-infiltration strategy which has an appropriate mix of technology and human resource to check infiltration effectively. Innovative troop deployment, proactive use of surveillance and monitoring devices and the anti-infiltration obstacle system have enhanced the ability to detect and intercept terrorists attempting to infiltrate or exfiltrate. Issues of infiltration or suspicious activity close to border are taken up regularly with Pakistan authorities at appropriate level through the established mechanisms of hotlines, flag meetings as well as talks between the Director General of Military Operations of the two countries. BSF too holds regular talks at various levels with its counterpart, that is Pakistan Rangers. Moving on to the next question, and Vinay Sahasrabudhe of the BJP has asked the details of total budget of DRDO for the year 2018-19 and the total number of staff officers and activities of research projects undertaken and their outcome, as well as other relevant aspects.
Well, Kriti, the DRDO has been in news of late because of several projects it has launched, and in positive term only, the minister concerned, that is the Minister of Defence, Nirmala Sitharaman, goes on to answer this question by saying that the total budget for Department of Defence Research and Development for the financial year 2018-19 is 17,861.19 crore with a manpower of approximately 24,224, which includes 7,354 scientists. A total of 13 research projects in technology development, that is TD, and science and technology, that is S&T category, have been taken up in the year 2018-19 in broad areas of hybrid power system, advanced materials, CBW defense technologies, laser diode technology, technology for insensitive munitions. And since these are in design phase, outcome of research projects will be seen in the subsequent year. So clearly, these are certain projects which, as we have seen in the past as well, will bear fruit in the years to come. But going by the kind of areas in which projects have been taken up, it seems that these are going to be very interesting and important ones as well.
Absolutely.
The next one, Kriti, is from the Member of Parliament Lal Singh Warodia, who goes on to ask the question to the government whether it is contemplating upon taking any steps towards making the country self-reliant with regard to weapons.
So MOS Defence Subhash Bhamre has again given the answer, and he says that during the last 3 years and current year up to June 2018, out of total 168 contracts, 106 contracts have been signed with Indian vendors for procurement of defence equipment for armed forces such as helicopters, radars, ballistic helmets, artillery guns, simulators, missiles, bulletproof jackets, electronic fuses and ammunition. Defence procurement procedure accords the highest priority to buy Indian-designed, developed and manufactured products. The make procedure has been simplified with provisions for earmarking projects not exceeding development cost of 10 crore rupees, which are government funded, and 3 crore rupees that are industry funded for MSMEs. Government has also promulgated the policy on strategic partnership in the defence sector to encourage broader participation of the private sector in manufacture of major defence platforms and equipment. So certainly a big booster shot for the Make in India campaign.
It is indeed, and the answer itself goes on to explain in detail how this entire procedure has taken place or will go forward.
Precisely, Vishal. Moving on to the next ministry, which is the Ministry of Drinking Water and Sanitation. So Jharna Das Bedya has asked the percentage of households which have to travel more than half a kilometre every day to get drinking water, and also whether it is a fact that over 30% of Indians get their water from unsafe sources, including untreated sources from tap and uncovered wells.
Well, the availability of water is a very sensitive issue and a very important one as well. Now, to this question, the minister concerned, the MOS, Ramesh Chandappa, goes on to answer that the ministry does not maintain information with respect to percentage of households which have to travel more than half a kilometre every day to get drinking water. However, as per the census 2011, 22.1% of the rural households have to fetch drinking water from a distance of more than 500 meters in rural areas. Now, the ministry categorizes the habitants as fully covered habitations if at least 40 litres per day, that is, of safe water is available. Partially covered habitations if the availability of water is less than 40 litres per capita per day, and quality affected where quality of water is chemically contaminated. As reported by states on the Online Integrated Management Information System IMIS, till date, out of 17.1 lakh total rural habitations in the country, 79.48% rural habitations are fully covered, 16.87% habitations are partially covered, and 3.65% habitations are quality affected. So quite an effective number when you look at the amount or the number of habitations which have been fully covered. It's almost around 79.80%, 79.48% to be precise. The next one, Kruti, is from Ranjit Biswal, and he goes on to ask the government whether it has set up or proposes to set up an expert group with a view to providing recommendations about an early warning system for air pollution.
Well, there have been discussions that our cities are turning into gas chambers, and here comes a very important answer from the government. And MOS Environment, Mahesh Sharma, answers that a task force under the chairmanship of Secretary, Ministry of Earth Science, with representatives of expert institutions has been set up to build a strategy for developing an early warning system on air quality as well as the dissemination of warning to public. The reason to set up an early warning system for air pollution is to further strengthen the air quality forecast. Establishing early warning system and dissemination protocol to inform public and enforcing agencies about episodic high pollution events in advance is amongst the priorities identified for improving management of air pollution. A meeting of the task force was also convened on 28th of July this year. Moving on to the next question, and the ministry is Road Transport and Highways. So Congress member MV Rajiv Gowda has quizzed whether, in the light of difference in procedure prevalent across states in the ministry, is considering to bring a uniform code to help persons with disabilities secure driving license. That's a very interesting question, Vishal.
Yes, very interesting and very sensitive as well, given the fact that there have been several complaints which have been coming in and discussions in the public domain as well about facilities for the persons with disabilities. And to this question, the minister concerned, the MOS, Mansukh Lal Mandavia, goes on to answer. Provisions regarding issue of driving license, including issue of driving license to the persons with disabilities, are contained in Chapter 2 of the Motor Vehicles Act 1988 and Chapter 2 of the Central Motor Vehicles Rules 1989. Further, provision to subsection 4 of subsection 8 of the said Act provides that a learner's license limited to driving an invalid carriage may be issued to the applicant if the licensing authority is satisfied that he is fit to drive such a carriage. The Motor Vehicles Act 1988 and the Central Motor Vehicles Rule 1989 are uniformly applicable throughout the country. So clearly it is defined there. And for more on this, in fact, my colleague Kriti Mishra spoke to the member who asked this question, MV Rajiv Gaura of the Congress, just a short while back.
That's right, Vishal. Mr. Gaura is joining us right now. Welcome to Rajya Sabha Television, sir. You've asked a very important question pertaining to the specially abled people. The government has given the answer. How satisfied are you with the answer?
First, Kriti, I must congratulate Rajya Sabha TV for looking at unstart questions and giving them the importance that they actually deserve. Now, coming to your point, the answer from the government is fairly evasive, it's very standard. It just says there's a standard national law to deal with all these kinds of issues. And in my view, that's like brushing off a very important question about a group of people who need attention and who are essentially being neglected. This government talks a lot about people with disabilities. The Prime Minister has called them Divyang, but we need to make sure that they become integrated with society, become productive, and have the ability to do everything that the rest of us are able to do.
And what is the suggestion that you're giving to the government today?
I want the government to go deeper into this issue. Let them probe, send people out and talk to people from these communities across the country. There are organizations that work with specially able people across the country, and then they'll discover how challenging it is. First, someone has to go and get a certificate of disability from the government. Then they have to go to an automobile company and get the vehicle adapted for their needs. So it's and then of course then they have to get certification, etc. So these are all elaborate, complex procedures that will discourage people who are otherwise already facing challenges. So I think the government must be proactive, let them go deeper into these issues, not give us these perfunctory, we have a national policy answers, but actually figure out ways to make policy work for people with special needs. And I'm happy to work with the government and connect them to numerous activists in this domain, and I think that's really something that we would all like to see going forward.
Absolutely. Point well taken. Thank you so much for talking to Rajya Sabha Television and sharing your thoughts with us.
Thanks.
So there was MV Rajiv Gaura who asked this question from the government on issues related to driving license for persons with disabilities. Let's now move on to the next one, and this is to the Ministry of Rural Development by Dr. Shantanu Sen, who goes on to ask the government whether social audit and Lok Adalats have been put in place under Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act across all the states.
So Minister Ram Kripal Yadav has given this answer, and he says that as per Section 17 of the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act 2005, the Gram Sabha would monitor the execution of works within the Gram Panchayat, conduct regular social audits of all the projects under the scheme taken up within the Gram Panchayat. Gram Panchayat shall also make available all relevant records to the Gram Sabha for the purpose of conducting the social audit. 26 states have established independent social audit units as on 3rd of August 2018.
That's all we have for our viewers, Kriti, in this segment. But don't go away, stay tuned. After the break, our colleagues Akhilesh Suman and Arvind Singh will bring you more questions and some more answers in Prashn Kaal.
Stay tuned.